Hello, this is wmpyr, and this is an unofficial video response to the basic ground positions video made by Quan Kicker and Tess Keelhammer. Both of them are extremely talented martial artists, and I wish them the best in the entertainment industry. Please show your support and check out Slug Street Scrappers, and also please check out their YouTube channels, which I will post the link for that. What I want to talk about today is basically talk about the hierarchy of positions theory. I'm kind of reluctant to use the word theory, but since it's been used so many times, especially by BJJ people, I'm just going to go ahead and call it a theory that it's been tried and tested. Alright, so first of all, the first thing I want to say is that there are a ton of different positions. There are so many different ones that I really not even sure if I know the proper name for them. So let me demonstrate real quick, just some of the more obscure ones and stuff. So I guess to start with right here, you pass the guard, and of course you end up in the knee on the stomach position. And then from here, you can put your arm in here, and this is, from my understanding, called the 1,000 kilos position. If you actually take the arm out and hook behind the head right here, now we're talking about a Kesa Gatame position. From here, now we can go into a side position right here. If this back arm hooks over here, this is to prevent them from getting the guard. But if not, you could bring your knees up. We're going to put the elbows very, very tight against their body, pushing up against me, so that it makes it very difficult for them to get any kind of space. So the knees and the elbows are pinning them together. From there, we could also go into a more north-south type position like this. If they're trying to escape one way or another, I may adjust and modify my north-south position like this. If they're trying to go that way, I'll put my weight on the opposite side. If they're trying to go this way, I'll put my weight on this side right here. So there's a whole lot of different positions. And then, of course, there's more exotic ones like butterfly guard, De La Hiva guard, rubber guard, octopus guard. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. So, and probably right now, there's probably some awesome grapplers developing new positions that we never even heard of. All right, so my point is, there's a ton of different positions. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to focus on the basic ones. And the basic ones, I made a quick list for you guys right here. Okay. As you can see, we start off with a back mount, then we go to mount, side, half mount, guard, and then half guard. Half guard being the least desirable and back mount being the most desirable. And you see how the arrow is pointing upwards? So it goes in that order. So back mount being the most desirable, mount being the second most desirable, side being the third, and it goes like that. So you want to head this way. So if you end up in the half guard, you got to keep working your way up. So this is a hierarchy, and that's what the hierarchy of positions theory is all about. Basically, when you're grappling, wherever you end up, you could end up in any of these positions. Wherever you end up, you want to go higher and higher and higher. If you're already on the back mount, then that's great. Stay there. You want to stay there and finish the fight, okay? If you're in the mount, that's great, but if you could get back mount, even better, all right? If you're down here, then it's going to be, whoa, man, let's really work our way to get up here. From number 6 and number 5, okay, guard and half guard, these positions are considered defensive. Obviously, the name guard, a defense. In sport BJJ, guard is a neutral position, but, I think it's safe to say that the guard, the name, it is a defensive position. And then from 4 up, from half mount, this is considered a more dominating, more offensive position. All right, so just want to clarify that real quick. Okay, so that being said, there's probably the question is, all of these positions have submissions. Okay, what is a submission? Submission is a joint lock or choke where you could potentially finish the fight right there with a submission. Okay. And all of these positions have submissions. So there's you know, a handful of submissions from the half guard. There's a handful of submissions from the guard, and you know, like I said, each position has you know, plenty of submissions depending on how creative, how knowledgeable you are, but it has submissions from there. So the question is, like, okay, so if I'm in the guard, why not just go for a submission? Why should I work towards moving up? Why can't I just go for a submission? And the idea here is, maybe in BJJ you've heard of the saying where they say position before submission, all right? Maybe you've heard of that saying. And what they usually mean by that, position before submission, is that, like, for example, let's say my opponent's right here and I just got mount, all right? So instead of immediately going for some type of submission, right, they say position before submission. So they mean establish the position first. So what they want you to do is you get the mount and make sure you stabilize it. Make sure that you get it really solid. So, you know, the moment you get it, also there's a chance that you might immediately lose it, all right? So the moment you get it, you stay here. The guy might try to push you off, all right? He might bridge. You know, he's going to do all kinds of such a push on my knee and stuff like that. So I have to fight all of that off, make sure that, yes, I got the mount. This guy's getting more and more discouraged. I'm solid here. Now that I know that I'm safe and I kind of know how his energy is, I know how he reacts to this, and I've been able to counter everything. I've been here. I know what to expect. Now I can start attacking, you know, so that's what they mean. Establish the position, all right? And that could also mean secure it really well. Now start, you know, like just moving his head and control it really well. Put your weight down, spread out, you know. Just make sure you get the position solid before you start going for a submission instead of immediately going for it. So that's what they mean. But when we apply that saying, position before submission, to this, to the hierarchy of positions, that means instead of going, like let's say you end up in the guard, instead of going for a submission right there, go for a better position. And when you cannot, like let's say you end up in half mount, and you want to go to side mount or back mount, but you want to keep moving up, but he's so good that you're stuck there in the half mount, then that's the place where you put a stand, and then you're going to go for submissions there because you cannot move up it any further. When you can't do that, that's when you go for it. You know what I mean? That's when you start going for submissions. You got to fight from there. So that's the idea right there. There's some other things that I want to point out. Is basically, when you are in a position, like let's say the mounted position right here, okay, and from right here, let's say I want to move forward, okay, I want to move forward, I want to get back mount, all right, I want to go to a better position, okay, but let's say I see an opportunity for a submission right now, right here, okay, what do? Should I go for the submission or should I go for the back mount? What should I do right here, you know? So that's the question right there. And the most important thing in a fight is to finish the fight. That's your priority. So that really comes down to, when I see a good opportunity, what is the percentage? Is it a high percentage? And what is the risk? If I go for the submission, is this going to be a really, really high risk that something really bad could happen to me, or I end up in a really bad position, or I lose everything, or what happens? You know, so you have to outweigh that. So you have to outweigh the timing. You know, the timing just tells you, is this the right time to go for it or not? And the other one is the situation. All right, the situation could be something like time is running out, so I need to be taking more risks, or maybe if I attack more, even if it's not a good time to attack, if I attack more, it's going to put them more on the defense, you know? So there could be a lot of reasons. So you have to basically make a judgment call right there. If it's very risky, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it at all. To me, timing is very, very important. So if I know I can get it, I'll go for it. If not, I play safe and I go the hierarchy of positions. This is the solid basics. So this is what I stick by. All right. The other situation is, like, let's say I'm inside right here, okay? And I'm very comfortable inside. A lot of BJJ people are. They like the side because it has a lot more options than, let's say, the mount. All right? Even though, if you look on this list, the mount is higher than side. So the mount is technically more ideal to be there. Okay? But let's say you're a BJJ person, you're really, really good in the side position right here. Okay, should you go for the mount or should you not? That depends on you. Like, if you go to the mount from there and you're not that good at the mount, but you're really good at side, and if you go to the mount, there's a chance that they're going to flip you over and you end up in guard, all right? If that's the way you are, then you should stay in the side position, because that means your mount is not good, and basically your mount equals guard. So if that's the case, it's basically side versus guard. Side is ranked higher here, so definitely go for the side position. You know, so that's the kind of logic that I use right there. Now, one other thing I want to say, I'm sorry, this is a lot of talking and a lot of conceptual stuff right now, just explaining, but basically this is for BJJ people. The basic idea of this comes from BJJ. It can be applied to MMA. It can be applied to street fighting. Okay, but this is one way of thinking. For example, Sambo people and catch wrestling people, they don't use this. Like, from my understanding with catch wrestling is they do submissions from all positions. You know, they do submissions anywhere, anytime. It's attack, attack, attack. It's brutal. They got attacks that aren't even considered submissions, and they'll just tear you up. So they don't follow this. You know, that doesn't mean that they're not as good as BJJ or whatever. It just means it's different. Their strategy, their methodology is different. They operate on a different dogma. Sambo people, from my understanding, from what I can tell, what little I've studied, it looks kind of like a mix between catch wrestling and BJJ. Certain positions, they act like catch wrestling people, where they're, you know, at any given position, they're going to attack for a submission. And then in other areas, they act more like BJJ people, where position, they establish it, and it's very important because, from my understanding, Judo was one of the arts that they chose to create Sambo with. So Judo and BJJ have a lot of similarities and a lot of crossing over there. So that's just from my limited understanding. But I just wanted to say that there's other ways of thinking. This is just a theory to help you out, you know, to have a foundation for your strategy. So anyway, thank you for watching, and take care, folks.